Good evening and welcome to this session of the Fort Wayne Community Schools Board of Trustees. We begin every meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, and so if you are in the room with us, would you please stand and say the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We will have the introduction of board members present. Good evening.
Good evening, Glenna Yale from the 2nd District.
Tom Smith from the 3rd District.
Maria Norman, Member at Large.
Ann Duff, Member at Large.
Jordan Lebemoff, the 4th District.
And I'm sitting in as chair of this meeting. Steve Corona, I'm vice president of the board. Julie, I believe, is on vacation. And to my left is our superintendent, Dr. Wendy Robinson, and our clerk of the board, Janet Doherty. So welcome to this meeting. First item on our agenda is to recommend to the board teachers who were finalists for the 2019-20 FWCS Teacher of the Year. Each year, principals nominate a teacher for the coveted FWCS Teacher of the Year selection. A committee composed of employees narrows that large number of nominees to a smaller group of finalists who are then individually interviewed by the committee and then a winner selected. With so many outstanding teachers in our district, it's, as you can imagine, a very difficult process. However, we would like to recognize the finalists for the outstanding work they do. We had a chance to hear from them at a reception prior to this meeting, and each of them spoke with passion and conviction. Many of them calling it a family business, as this infectious enthusiasm of teaching runs through their families. So as I call your names, would you please come forward, and I think you're going to be accompanied by your principal. Anthony Byard from Lakeside Middle School. His principal is Ellen Jones. John Lucky from Kikionga Middle School, Principal Mark Bailey. Stephanie Frazier, Indian Village Elementary School, Principal Kara Miller. Demetris Marsh, Weiser Park Elementary School, her principal is Kent Martz. And finally, Kevin Klee from Snarter High School, Principal Chad Hissong is with him this evening.
What do you want to do? Probably finalists in front and principals behind. It's easy. That good. Perfect. That looks fabulous.
Stand still, stand with the foot. You can get up if you need a better shot.
Family and friends, take your time. They're not going anywhere until we tell them to.
Is that it? Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's now time to recognize our Teacher of the Year for our district, and that goes to Chris Roberts, who is an instructor with the FWCS Career Academy. Chris is a construction trades instructor. He was selected because of his passion for doing what is best for students and ensuring the skills they learn in class are relevant to a career outside of the classroom. And I can't believe of a higher sector to be in, and everybody is looking for people who can work with their hands. Chris is a Fort Wayne native. He was destined to become an educator. I've got to figure out what his mother put in the Kool-Aid at home because he and his family drank it, and they are all in professional educators. He began his career as the instructor of concrete masonry and cabinet making more than 13 years ago. His commitment to his students is evident through his involvement with the Skills USA chapter, where he has coached 11 state champions. Mr. Roberts is dedicated to continuously learning best practices and improving his skills so he can do what is best for students, focusing on relationships, relevance, and rigor to best prepare students for future success. He has one of his children in his lap, but we'd like to come up to this microphone here and just tell us a little bit about what it's like to be in your classroom every day.
How much time do I have?
A couple of minutes.
Really?
Yes.
Our classroom, as far as what our students see, is greeting them at the door, big smile, big fist pump, showing them that I'm genuinely excited that they've arrived. When they miss, I'll let them know we're disappointed that they missed. And we treat every day, 100% of every day, cramming in every minute for pure, like you'd mentioned, rigorous education. And sometimes that's physical rigor, sometimes it's mental rigor. And we train a lot about work ethic, a lot about values and what they can do in the community to better others. It's so important that they can see an immediate impact on who they can affect after graduation. And I'm spoiled with the fact that my students are knocking at the door of graduation, receiving that diploma, because I get to see the immediate results. And we have other educators in our district who work so hard at sowing the seeds early, like my mother used to do in preschool. And she'd tell me she was jealous at the fact that I get to see the immediate result. And when the students come back as alumni and they're wearing their work uniform or they're wearing their own name on their shirt because they own a business, that is all the reward that I could possibly need. And I get to see it constantly. So we're doing great things.
What's the job market like right now for your students?
Over the past 2 years, 100% of our seniors have received job placement, and the calls don't. The calls don't stop throughout the summer. If someone calls in June, unfortunately, I have to say, sorry, we're all out. And again, they start in the fall. First day of school, I was laughing because my phone was ringing off the hook. I had 4 phone calls for job opportunities, and I had 5 returning seniors in my afternoon class, and I just looked at them and said, all right, looks like all you will be here for another week, and then you're out.
And these are good paying jobs.
They're unbelievable. It makes me question sometimes. I'm just saying. So, currently, let's just use the local 4 Masons Union right now as an example. Our 18-year-olds are testing in with their skill, and they're passing their written test of basic math. And with a driver's license and a good interview, they are starting them out at $21.50 an hour. They also pay for their 2 years associate's degree through Ivy Tech. And so after 4 years, just 4 years, they're at $37.50 an hour. And that's with full benefits and the whole nine. So right now, it couldn't be better.
Is it as tough as people say about encouraging young people to think about doing a job that involves their hands and working outside?
No, it's not. These kids have it in them. They just don't know it. And the kids that take a chance on us in our career program down here, not just construction, but any of them, culinary arts and automotive and all, it's quick for them to see how valuable that they can be right away and how much worth that they have.
Tell us what you know about the next step state competition as Teacher of the Year.
Man, not a lot. They keep it pretty secretive. I gotta be honest, I lose some sleep over it sometimes. So apparently the next step is they announce the top 2, and then you're required to go down and interview in front of the DOE.
You don't have to wear a tie, do you?
I did last week, and I'll swear I'll do it again.
You must have gotten a tie from one of your brothers.
No, I did knock the dust off of mine. I think it was a hand-me-down from my father. It had a saw blade on it. It was, no, it was good. Matter of fact, during the interview, when I'd walk into each room, because you had 3 interviews, 35 minutes each, and when I'd walk into the room, they would look twice at the portfolio photos with my students, and they ask, they're wondering if it was the same person.
So which one of your brothers is buying dinner tonight for the family? I think it should be Todd.
Todd has never opened up his wallet for dinner, so I'm well aware that's not going to happen.
Best wishes to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Robert's family, you are excused if you would like. You're welcome to stay. Thank you all for being here. We're going to move to the consent agenda, and under that section of our work are 3 items: the approval of minutes from September the 9th, approval of vouchers and payroll, and the personnel report. What's the pleasure of the board this evening?
Move and pass.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Tom Smith and Maria Norman to consider all 3 items. Any questions about them?
Can I just have one clarification?
Absolutely.
Because in advance, we were told that there might not be all of the sections of the payroll. Did that get included in tonight? No. Okay, I just want to know what we were voting on for sure, so thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Any other questions from the board? If not, all those in favor of approving the 3 items under the consent agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We move to new business, and there are a couple of items there. The first item is that the board is recommended to conduct a public meeting to discuss the tentative collective bargaining agreement between Fort Wayne Community Schools and the Fort Wayne Education Association. Is there a motion second on this item?
So move.
Second.
Moved by Tom, seconded by Ann. Let me give the board and members of the audience a little background information on this. There's a state law amended to add a requirement that the board hold at least 1 public meeting to discuss a tentative collective bargaining agreement prior to ratification. FWCS properly notified this public meeting and posted the tentative agreement between the district and the Teachers Association on the public website as required by the law. Over the summer, teams from both sides informally bargained the contract and came to a tentative agreement, and I'm going to read to you 5 items that we believe are of significant detail and interest. The parties agreed to restructure the contract to better align with other union contracts and new employee manuals. This will result in greater transparency and understanding of employee expectations and benefits. The salary range for all teachers will be $40,078 to $70,891, and that's for this current school year. And then for the forthcoming school year, that range moves up to $40,679 to $71,496. And again, those second figures are for the 2021 school year. In the 2017-2019 contract, all teachers transitioned to 2 salary schedules, a workplace specialist and a bachelor's and master's schedule. This contract maintains that basic structure, but combines the 2 schedules. 4th point, teachers become eligible to advance 1 row on the schedule based on evaluation. Teachers also become eligible to advance to the master's column of the schedule upon attaining a master's degree. The increase for advancing to that column is $263 in the 2019-2020 school year, and then next year, $267, with the added ability to advance additional rows on the schedule. And finally, beginning October 1 of this year, Fort Wayne Community Schools will compensate teachers for classroom coverage to help manage a substitute teacher shortage. Teachers will receive $50 per 4 hours of classroom coverage when principals place additional students in their classes due to the absence of another teacher. So those are the 5 important points in this tentative agreement. This board will then come together in a couple of weeks, specifically October 14th, to ratify the contract, and at that meeting, we will take public comment. If there's any questions from board members, our legal counsel, David Amen, or Charles Kamek, our Chief Operations Officer, are present to answer any questions from you about this tentative contract agreement. Questions for either gentleman?
That last bullet point doesn't make sense to me, how they will receive $50 per 4 hours when they have additional students in their classroom.
So there are times when, because we don't have a substitute teacher, they'll take that teacher's classroom and divide the students up and add them to an elementary classroom. And we decided, in agreement with the teachers union, that if that happens over the span of several days or the accumulation of 4 hours, then we pay them $50 for that. At the secondary level, they would get credit for having to cover a particular class in lieu of losing their planning period.
Okay. I think that makes sense.
It doesn't begin to compensate for what has to happen when they do that, but it's a recognition that they are actually
Right.
willing to do it and get it done.
Thank you.
Any additional questions for David or Charles? This is somewhat awkward. We've already had this public meeting, but I still need a vote on the motion before us. And before we do that, let me just say that if there are any questions moving forward, the full contract is available on our public website. And of course, before we vote, any board member is welcome to contact David or Charles about any other items that they may think of between now and our next board meeting.
Has this been ratified by the union? They've already voted and accepted it?
Yes.
Okay, good.
That happened today, didn't it?
They voted on Thursday and Friday, and they let us know Friday afternoon.
Any other questions? If not, we're going to
Can I
vote.
ask one more
Yep,
question?
absolutely.
Okay, because we're talking, strictly this year and next year, how does this compare to the previous year? Was there any kind of an increase for teachers? Because I know, obviously the state government has been talking about increasing teacher pay. Were we able to find money to do that, or how does this budget, our current budget, allow us or not allow us to do that?
You want to answer again?
I think one of the things we'll do, that's an excellent question, is provide a graph and a chart to maybe show you over time, and then some of the increases that people received were in the form of stipends.
Right.
So I think to give you a fuller explanation, we'll go back a couple of years because we use some grant dollars, but this is a little bit different. Let us outline it for you, and you'll have that this week in preparation for the next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Is that helpful?
Well, when I get the information, it'll be
Yeah.
helpful.
Yeah, so you
I
can look
wait.
at it and then ask
Yeah,
specific
No problem.
questions.
I just was curious.
Good point. Any other questions? Okay, so this vote will be really on approving the conduct of a public meeting, and then we'll vote on the contract on October the 14th. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Okay. A public budget presentation was made at our September 9th meeting. All board adopted funds and proposed budgets were discussed then, and estimated tax rates were reviewed. The notice for the capital projects plan and the bus replacement plan were properly advertised September 10th, in the Journal Gazette. The notice directs taxpayers to the district website for additional details of the plans. The budget was submitted then to the Indiana Gateway on September 10th for public information. According to state law, the school corporation must conduct a public hearing on the budgets, the 3-year capital projects plan, and 5 years of the bus replacement plan. A hearing is scheduled this evening, so the intent of the hearing is to allow board members the opportunity to receive community input, and then we'll vote on the budget and all those other items on October the 14th. So this is the appropriate time for members of the public to address us regarding the 2020 budget, the 2020-22 capital projects plan, and the 2020 to 2024 school bus replacement plan. And if you are interested in speaking, we have a microphone in the middle aisle and a microphone to my left if you would care to offer your comments. Again, this is a public hearing regarding the 2020 budgets, the 2020 to 2022 capital projects plan, and finally the 2020 to 2024 school bus replacement plan. I do not see people fighting to get to the microphone, so we will close the public hearing. And again, we'll vote on this at our meeting October the 14th. Okay. So we've satisfied that requirement. We've got a whole lot of stuff on the back side of our agenda under new business, and so we'll continue with those items. First of all, it's recommended that the board approve the application for an acceptance of an advancement from the Indiana Common School Fund for educational technology equipment in the amount of $2 million. Is there a motion and second on this item?
Move approval?
Second.
Moved by Glenna, second by Maria. Advancement from the Common School Fund provide funds for districts like ours to purchase educational technology. We will use the money to help fund the technology plan previously submitted to the state. Technology funds are currently insufficient to fund all the technology needs of the district. Funds are provided as a loan and are awarded to school corporations on the basis of assessed value per pupil, with low AV per pupil corporations receiving funds before high AV per pupil corporations, and board members have additional information on this item before you. Any other questions? I know Jack Bird, our Director of Technology, is here along with our Chief Financial Officer, Kathy Friend. Again, the amount is for $2 million for educational technology equipment. Questions?
One question. How long will this loan, the 4% loan, last? How many years are we, is it just 1 year? Or
No,
is
it's a 3-year payback on the CSF loan.
Okay.
And the interest rate's probably going to be about 1%.
Okay.
Yeah, they will let us know when we complete all of our spending.
Thank you, Kathy. Other questions? If not, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, it is recommended that the board approve the purchase of 564 Lenovo ThinkPad Yoga 11E laptop computers from ProSys of Indianapolis for the amount of $252,841.20. Is there a motion on this item?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Tom, seconded by Jordan. The purchase of these laptops contributes to the 4th year purchases of the 5-year technology plan, which will ensure students and teachers to have the appropriate technology to support instruction. We were able to see our pricing on these items below General Services Administration pricing. So state law does not require public bidding for purchases made at or below GSA pricing. Questions about this purchase?
What is the cost of, the average cost of one ThinkPad under this arrangement?
$447.
Wow, that's a good price. job.
And where does this put us in terms of, I know that we order so many and then they go to different grade levels. Where are we at in that process? Or?
We've been 1-to-1 in our elementary now for 2 years. This year we're piloting 1-to-1 at Lakeside, Memorial Park, and Wayne High School. Next year we'll be piloting a lot, well, it won't be a pilot, we'll be implementing a lot more 1-to-1s, but we wait and see what the enrollment will be to see if we have enough to cover. But by the end of the 5th year, the whole district should be 1-to-1.
Any additional questions for Jack Bird? Thank you, Jack. All those in favor of the recommendation, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on our agenda, it is regarding the appointment of project architects for upcoming construction projects next year. It's recommended the board approve the appointment of project architects and engineers for each of the following 2020 projects. And you have before you, oh gosh, about 15 different projects, including, there's one on the backside for Southside High School improvements. State law requires us to have a registered architect or a professional engineer for developing plans and specifications on projects over $100,000. Did we get a motion and second on this? We did not. May I have one, please?
Move approval?
Second.
Moved by Glenna, seconded by Maria. You have that, the listing and each, the estimated construction budget on each of these items, and then the estimated design contract fee that the firms are scheduled to receive. A lot of work ahead of us. Any question about these?
Darren, where's funding coming from?
For these projects, it's a combination of repair, referendum funding, the capital projects funding, annual funding, and we also have some kitchen work being done, so from the Nutrition Services Fund.
Okay, a little bit from each.
Yes. And some projects having 3 different funding sources for the project, so.
Okay.
And with regard to, we just received the project and then who's going to be responsible for it. I'm assuming your department went through the bidding process and these were the lowest or most reasonable bids and all that fun stuff.
Yes, we went
Okay.
through a request for proposal stage.
Yeah, okay. And then I know that you've sent me the process with regard to how you guys, or how your department picks which companies to use. Do you use that same process with this?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
So it's, price is a component of it, but so is experience, so is the type of project, the type of work they do, et cetera.
I figured, but just checking.
Any other questions for Darren? Thank you, sir. All those in favor of the recommendation, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. It's recommended the board approve the purchase of 344 cafeteria tables for 21 schools from Sharp School Services of Hobart, Indiana, for $387,134. Motion and second on this item.
Move for approval.
Second.
Moved by Glenna, seconded by Ann, and it is correctly pronounced Hobart.
I was one.
As a Lake County native, it is not Hobart, as many people from Fort Wayne might say. Hobart, Indiana. The Hobart Brickies, in fact. There was a brickyard on their school grounds. That's your little piece of trivia for this evening. This purchase will replace old cafeteria tables at a variety of schools, and you have the listing of those schools. If tables are still in good condition, we're going to continue to use them. Quotes were obtained for the 2 brands of cafeteria tables purchased by our district. Sharp School Service is the sole service provider to FWCS for the brand of tables they sell, which is AmTab. And JW Associates is the sole service provider to FWCS for the brand of tables they sell, SICO. Those contract amounts, or the contract amount for Sharp School, which is where we went, again, $387,134, and this money is going to come out of our capital projects plan and funded from the operations fund. So there you have it. You're not going to hold board members to count those new and used tables? We don't need to do that? Good, thank you. Any other questions on this item? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. We move to the next item on our agenda. It's recommended the board approve an extension of Business Health Services as the occupational medical services provider for a one-year period effective September 1 of this year through August 31st of 2020. Motion and second on this item.
So move.
Second.
Moved by Tom, seconded by Maria. Business Health Services / ReadyMed provides services such as occupational medical, drug testing, physicals, and Department of Transportation services. Business Health Services will continue to provide employees with the best accessibility due to the number of locations and hours of operation available in our town. The estimated annual cost for the most utilized standard and physical therapy services is $138,340. Any additional questions about this recommendation before you? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Final item on our agenda is an item regarding a secured school safety grant. It's recommended that we approve the application for and acceptance of the Indiana Department of Homeland Security 2020 Secured School Safety Grant to support the continuation of 6 school resource officers from the Fort Wayne Police Department. Motion and second.
Move for approval.
Second.
Moved by Glenna, a dead heat for the second, which will go to Ann. The Secured School Safety Grant was created in 2013 to increase the safety of Hoosier schools. And it's not a lot of money, but we'll take it. It's $57,600. So wish it could be more, but that is the dollar amount. And again, this is to help us pay for 6 school resource officers who are officers with the Fort Wayne Police Department. Questions?
Yes, I have a question. Is that nearly $10,000 each for these 6 officers? Michael, there you go.
Manuel, I'm sorry.
Michael, is that money paid directly to those officers?
It's our portion. The total cost, our portion of it is $144,000.
For the 6?
For the 6. So $57,600 is what comes off of this grant. That helps us pay our portion of it, the 144, and then we provide the rest. And it's a matching grant.
Is that money paid to the Fort Wayne Police Department?
Yes, sir.
It's not to the officers directly?
To the Fort Wayne Police Department.
Okay, so that covers administrative fees, whatever, right? What are some of the expenses involved in supporting these officers?
Their salaries, and everything that goes with that. It's their
Okay.
salaries, benefits, all of that. We pay that portion of it, half.
So you're paying their actual salary and benefits for those 6 officers?
Our portion, correct. Our portion.
Okay. Gotcha.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Michael.
Okay.
I'm done.
Thank you. Additional questions? If not, all those in favor of the recommendation, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That was the last item on our agenda. So the microphone is open for comments from members of the board. Glenna?
Well, I just want to say that I had the privilege of going to Sweetwater I believe it was last week, yes, sometime last week for luncheon. And it was hosted where the superintendents from this region all got to discuss the state of education here in Indiana. And I was very, I just want to thank Sweetwater and Greater Fort Wayne Inc. for hosting that particular meeting. I found it very informative, but more importantly, I was very impressed with the level of cooperation that exists between the four superintendents of our school districts. And I feel like if more officials could get along as well as they did, a lot more would get accomplished. And I won't say who or at what level, but it was really, really neat to see the level of respect and caring that they all shared for each other. It was just a really neat, informative meeting, and I was glad I attended.
No comment, Steve.
I was able to attend the superintendent luncheon with Glenna, and I echo everything that she says. And then I was also able to attend Steve's event, the Latinos Count Scholarship Breakfast, and very nicely done, Steve. The students' testimonies had me in tears and made me go home and thank my parents for the good work that they did in getting me from pipsqueak to adulthood. So the other thing that I thought was really great was your speaker, the superintendent of Miami-Dade Community Schools down in Miami, Florida. Really inspirational. I didn't really know what to expect, but he totally blew my socks off. So hats off to you, Steve, for your event. That's all I got.
Thank you.
I attended both the events that Glenna and Maria attended too. And yes, Steve, yours was fabulous. Once again, this is my second time going, and it is inspiring and just a great thing that you do for these kids, or young adults, I guess they are. And the Greater Fort Wayne event was, most of the audience were business people. And I just wanted to mention some of the comments from our superintendents. They commented that the current state of education, the way it is, it's hard to meet the needs of all of our students and stay within budget. They commented that the incentives in education are dividing us. One made the comparison: would a parent label his child as, this is my favorite child, my child, and my worst child? Said that what is happening right now is making schools compete, which is not healthy for education. He said that it's hard to make children feel good about what they are doing. It was suggested that legislators work with educators to craft policy based on what we are doing and what is working. Let's see. Dr. Robinson commented that we can no longer focus on our main mission, which is children, because we have to answer to so many people. The business people asked, how can we help? And it was suggested that they encourage parent involvement by letting them off off work to attend parent-teacher conferences. And another comment was that you, the audience, which was business people, what they want from an employer can never be put on a standardized test. And those were my takeaways from the event. And there were some of our legislators in the audience. And I know these things have been stated over and over, but maybe this time they will perhaps listen. There's no reason they shouldn't, as I think our four superintendents in this county are the most knowledgeable in the education business.
No comments.
Well, I just wanted to add a couple of comments. First of all, the chamber luncheon. I'm hopeful that business begins to speak up about what we believe is wrong with public education. And they have a very strong voice, and I think legislators will give more credence to their opinions than ours. Not that there's a difference of opinion, but I think they just have a greater level of credibility with them, right or wrong. I think that's the case. I also heard there was a question posed to the superintendents, which was answered by Chris Himsel from Northwest Allen County Schools. And he said that in part that the difficulty or challenge that public education has these days in meeting the needs of employers goes back 20 years ago when shop classes, the funding for shop classes ended. And so I don't know if there's going to be new funding to allow 21st century shop classes to reappear and support what we do across the street at the Career Academy, but it's an interesting idea. I enjoyed the luncheon, and I hope the chamber brings us all together on a more regular basis. Secondly, to our breakfast event, the Latinos Count Viva College Scholarship Program. First of all, thanks to a couple of folks that do business here with us that are very generous in their corporate support with our organization and our raising of scholarship dollars. Sodexo and Renee Slode, we thank you. And then Excelify, which is our Medicaid provider for the district, and they were also a table sponsor at the event. But we also at that event recognized Dr. Wendy Robinson as one of our amigas or friends of the year. And it was an easy selection because of all that she's done for all children, including Latinos, and our association between the district and our organization. Our keynote speaker was fabulous. They have 346,000 students in their district, more students than people living in Ellen County. But I tell you what, Fort Wayne Community Schools is performing at their level and doing a great job in delivering great instruction for our kids. And whether you were there or not, I got to tell you, I walked out of there with my head held high in all the things that we do for our kids. Superintendent Carvalho has a hell of a job in trying to, appease his board members, and he's done that for 11 years, which is almost unheard of in a large urban district. He's doing great things, and so are we. So it was a great event, and we were so pleased to honor our superintendent at this event. So I think those are the comments. Is there a motion for adjournment? And we'll take public comment after that.
So moved.
Yeah. Second.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Our microphone is open. Before you leave, if you've got